Welcome viewers. As usual, every time we conduct security leadership discussion, not only we bring a very relevant, important subject for our upgradation, for enhancement of our knowledge, we also try to bring such contents to expert speakers, which in their own recognition and claim are world-class expert. Today's security leadership discussion is on the subject of stakeholder risk assessment and management. This is part of our security leadership discussion. And as security professional, we know that stakeholder risk management is the process of managing the risk that a stakeholder could negatively impact a project or business decision or be negatively impacted by the project or decision. Stakeholders' risks are prioritized by probability and potential impact. Today's expert speaker is Nand Kishore Bhatt, and I am always, very happy and feel immensely privileged when I make introduction of the expert. Viewers, for your information, Nand Kishore Bhatt CPP CSM is the State Councilor for Goa at the International Council for Industrial Security and Safety Management. He is CPP from ASIS International and currently holds position of Chief Security Officer for the iron ore business at Vedanta Group at Goa. With an impressive background in security planning and management across various industries, he brings over a decade of experience to his role. Welcome, Nand Bhatt, and let me add little more. Nand Bhatt is recognized for his outstanding performance and professional excellence. Nand Bhatt was honored with the Young Managers of the Year 2019 award by the Goa Management Association. His dedication to security planning, risk assessment, and management has set him apart in the industry. In his role as the State Councilor for 𝗬𝗲𝗿 International Council for Security, Safety, and Management at Goa, Nand Kishore brings his wealth of knowledge to further the Council's mission of promoting industrial security and safety management. His leadership and his strategic vision is undoubtedly enhancing the Council's initiative in the region. I am happy and feel very proud to notice right now more than 60 viewers are online to listen and see the presentation of Nand Kishore Bhatt. And Nand Kishore, you might be pleased to know that there are already more than 20 comments even before you started making a presentation. Now it is your time and take the subject forward, and I am going to background. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the last line that you have mentioned, you are going in the background. People like you who has served the nation, and at the same time, the way you are serving the fraternity, we always want you to be, guiding us right from, with your thoughts and wisdom, sir. First of all, thank you very much for bringing it to this table. And I am equally delighted, to interact with you and at the same time, the fraternity at large. So the richness we always discuss in our council also, the richness of ICISS is the diversity of thoughts, the way the industry expert, the way the security leaders, the way the professionals come together on a single platform, and the way they discuss about the dynamic and relevant topics of the land security landscape makes it more interesting. And at the same time, I would also like to say, sir, when before going to the presentation, that this is a perspective I am sharing with all of you leaders. Maybe there are certain things which are there in the presentation. Almost we all are in this arena for a quite long duration of time, and I can see that there are veterans, experts are also here. So maybe the terminology and the nomenclature which is there on the presentation, it is already, all of us are aware. But at the same time, I'll try to bring it a perspective so that how it is, how the part is evolving and how we are taking it to the next level. Thank you very much, sir, for the introduction. We can go with the slides, sir, presentation. Yes, sir. So basically, the subject, as you know, Captain Sir has also mentioned, stakeholder risk assessment and management. I think these are the very, very important and key words. I mean, the words in itself is a complete encyclopedia. If we talk about stakeholder, we are fully aware that whatever we are doing, we are sharing it in and around with the stakeholder. So the right identification of the stakeholder is the most important part. And then at the same time, there is a process. I mean, once you identify something, then there is a process. So process constitute this risk assessment. And at the end, if you know who are your stakeholders, if you know what is the process, then the final and the most exciting part is to manage it. And to manage the entire gamut of things, the security professionals or the industry leaders or the thought leaders are there. So I'll share my perspective for these three keywords. So I'll start with the introduction to stakeholder management. I mean, these are not the new things, but at the same time, we need to understand the fundamental part. The fundamental part, as we all know, that, you know, first of all, as we just started the discussion, we are aware that what is stakeholder management. So in this particular, there is a logical sequence. So in this first sequence, we need to identify, understand, and engage with the different kind of groups, people who have the ability or who have the potential to influence our organization or influence the entity in any initiative. So first, I mean, it can be negative, it can be neutral, it can be positive, but at the same time, it will start with the identification. And then the second, who are our stakeholders? I mean, whosoever is interacting with us directly, indirectly, I mean, employees, customer, investor, supplier, the law enforcement, government agencies, communities, and the list goes on. I mean, whosoever has anything related to our business, not related to our business, but the kind of influence they can put to our entity and business. So they are our stakeholders. Primary goal. I mean, when we are starting something, definitely without goal, we are not going to achieve anything. So the goal is very, very clear that we should have effective communication with all these parties that I have mentioned. And again, I mean, it's a business. At the end of the day, whatever we are doing in this fraternity or whatever we are doing in our profile or in the security landscape, it has to be done in such a way that, first of all, the interests are mutual. That is one. And there has to have a win-win situation for everybody who is a part of the game. Whether you are playing the game, whether you are observing the game, whether you are managing the game, everybody has a stake. So at the end of the day, we need to say that all these stakeholders who are having the stake, they are working in a positive way to make sure that the vision, the goal, whatever the organization has set up, we are going towards that. And with the amalgamation of all these different stakeholders. And then why is it important? I mean, we all understand that it is important, but why it is important? Because at the end of the day, it builds the trust, expectations are managed. I mean, there will be different expectations from every stakeholder, different stakeholders. But at the same time, if we follow the logical sequence, then with this process, we'll be able to minimize the conflicts. Conflicts as part of the game, they are going to happen. I mean, we cannot avoid the conflict. But at the same time, we can make it sure that whatever the conflicts are there, they are well managed, they are well understood. And in our language, I mean, we all are aware, in our language, there is a saying that if you have a disagreement, then we should agree our disagreements also. We should have an agreement towards our disagreement. So this part is very, very important, that where there is a disagreement, we should understand that, yes, we agree. There are issues, but at the same time, we have a bigger purpose. We have a bigger goal. And then we all have to work together to find out a way that how we can jointly, collectively, collaboratively move towards that particular part. So this is an important aspect. And then the requirements. What are the requirements? We need to see that whatever the requirements and whatever the processes that we have followed, there is a continuous monitoring on those particular things. And at the same time, we need to make it sure that not only, I mean, we are immune towards the external factors, immune towards the external things which can create some kind of untoward situation for us. But at the same time, being proactively ready for that is also important. So if we follow this logical sequencing, we will understand not only the stakeholder part, but at the same time the final part, which is the management, how to manage those particular things. And then this is again taking it from the point where we have left, the what is the importance of stakeholder management. So ensure clear communication. I mean, as we are aware, whatever we do, whatever we achieve, it starts with the communication. The most important aspect for any security leader or any thought leader is the clear cut communication. Are we able to give a right perspective to each and every member or every stakeholder of that particular game? So communication has to be very clear. It has to be, it should generate some kind of happiness. I mean, the whatever the communication we are doing for that particular thing, it should create a happiness wherein everybody is pushing themselves to unleash their potential. I mean, if everybody by themselves they are making it sure that they unleash their potential, the end result will be amazing. Mitigate resistance and conflicts. Again, it helps us to mitigate whatever the as I said, resistance, conflicts, and everything. These are the part of the game. They are going to happen. Any process, anything we discuss, anything we do, it starts with the resistance and conflicts. Who are excited also, they will also have some things in their mind, doubts in their mind, and maybe their doubts, definitely they are good for the system to run in a better way. So if we do a proper stakeholder management, we'll be able to mitigate that resistance and that initial conflict, because conflict is the first step by which the journey will start. Everybody will have certain things. Okay, this is not done in such a way, this has to be done in such a way, in a different way. So we have to understand that particular part. And then what it helps, I mean, once you understand, then it helps to take the right decision, to take the proactive decision. So it leads to a better informed decisions. If everything is aligned, if everybody is aligned towards the common goal, if the values are understood, if the vision is perfectly matching, and if the mission is clear, then every single bolt of that particular game will enable it to go to the next level of operational excellence. And the processes will definitely be the efficiency and effectiveness of all the laid down processes that we have done. It will maximize that. Again, the process part, as we have discussed in the first slide, the logical sequence, each and every aspect which is mentioned on this particular slide, it speaks the importance of that particular aspect for that broader game. If we start with the identification, as we discussed, all the potential stakeholder who can be impacted or who can impact also. Then analysis, what are their interested, what are their expectations, concern, how they can influence. So if we understand this particular part, it will help us to make a better planning. Prioritization based on their level of influence, because see, everybody is a stakeholder in the game. So we cannot say that, okay, if somebody is raising some question, definitely it has to answer. But whether it is to be a part of that overall game plan, then we can prioritize that. If we have a better analysis, it will lead to a better prioritization. We can prioritize, okay, this is the kind of influence, this is the kind of impact, this is the kind of likelihood of any risk. We can prioritize things. Feedback and evaluation, then of course this is not a process which comes with a full stop. I mean, there will be commas, but there will not be any full stop. Again, we have to evaluate, we have to take the right feedback, and we have to see that all the feedback mechanism is going through a proper process and it is guiding us something. It will only happen when we have a positive way of getting the feedback. Feedback can be negative, neutral, positive, anything. But the process should be a very positive, which enables people to give the right feedback for the right evaluation. Then the engagement strategy. Then we have to make sure that there is a proper scientific way, there is a proper, we have to develop a tailored engagement strategy. The strategy has to be very clear before executing something. It cannot happen that you start something and then strategize, okay, aisa karenge waisa karenge. No, it will not happen in that way. It has to follow that logical sequencing. Strategy Engagement strategy has to be very, very clear. And then the communication plan. If everything is clear, then we need to understand that how better we are communicating it to the right stakeholders. When I say right stakeholder, what does it mean? It means everyone who is playing with us in this game, they needs to be communicated in a better way, in a nice way. Yes, sir. So slide. Yeah, okay. And once the communication plan is there, then the engagement. Every stakeholder who is now identified, prioritized, analyzed, feedback, evaluation, engagement strategy, communication, and now the most important aspect is the engagement. How actively they are engaged in the project life cycle. I mean, it's called, as we all know, that in project management, there is a logical sequencing of executing it. So if the previous processes are aligned, if the previous processes are seen, understood, deliberated, calibrated, then this engagement plan will leads to again a magical execution. Then the conflict resolution. Conflict will come. We need to understand, anticipate what all negative impact, what all positive impact it can bring out to the table. Then it will be resolved if we have a right strategy, engagement, and the right communication plan. Then monitoring and adaptation, continuously monitoring the stakeholder. We cannot take everything for granted, that okay, step one we have done it, now it's over. No, it's a dynamic kind of thing. It will keep on changing. It will keep on giving you surprises. It will keep, every plan is finalized, everything is there, but suddenly a surprise will come. So we cannot say that now this surprise has come, okay, we will start our strategy now. No, it will be a part of that game plan, overall game plan, that we will keep monitoring the thing. We will keep adapting. We will be flexible enough to adapt the right things. We will be flexible enough to get away with the wrong things if they come in between. Then closure and evaluation. Again, then the closure, and if I formally close stakeholder engagement and evaluation for the effectiveness of the processes, and then this cycle will again start. So though it seems a complicated one when we write all steps in detail, but at the same time, when you start practicing it, it's just a natural flow. It's just a natural flow from identification to evaluation to closure. It's just a natural flow. Life cycle of our enterprise security management. As we have understood it in a very right way, that how we can identify stakeholders, everything is there. But at the same time, we have to follow, for any risk management, we have to follow a proper PDCA chart, PDCA planning. Planning stage may, what we have to do, after we plan, we have to implement something. Then what is to be done, how it is to be done. Then we have to check. There has to have some check mechanism, because as they say, I mean, the most important line that it gives me a lot of confidence, that whatever can be measured, it can be improved. If you can measure something, definitely you will be able to improve it. You will be able to benchmark it. You will be able to calibrate it. You will be able to deliberate it. All those things will only happen if there is a measurement part. So we have to check periodic management review and compliance audits. Audits will play a very, very important role in making it sure that whatever the laid down procedures we are following, are they followed in a right way, or is there something which is the gap? Is there any vulnerability, weakness in the system which somebody can exploit? It will only come to the right frame when we have a proper mechanism of reviewing and compliance. Then addressing the action point of management review. Whatever points will come in the review, will make a proper kappa cycle. We have to make it a proper corrective action and preventive action. We need to make it sure that every point which has come through a part of audit, we have a proper action plan to mitigate that particular risk. It may be a event. It may be anything which can have a catastrophic flow on your complete project. So this will help us to act in the right way if we follow this proper chain in the enterprise security management. And then we have now discussed the stakeholder part. Now we'll come towards the security risk assessment. At the same time, I would like to tell you that if you have any question in between, you can, once we finish the presentation, I mean, the floor will be open. You can ask your questions, and we'll try to help it out by our understanding that what is the point and how we have to address that. Yeah. So the security risk assessment part, again there are different guidelines to follow. There are API 780 guidelines, then there are NPSA guidelines, there are separate guidelines. But one thing is very common, which is the natural flow of events, and which is the logical sequencing. That if you carry out any risk assessment, what is the logical sequence you have to follow? First of all, everything starts with the asset characterization. Asset, what does it mean? Again, if you know the asset in a better way, I mean, if you know the asset in a detailed way, you will be able to provide a better security solutions towards it. First of all, we need to understand that every asset which is a part of the entity and the organization, or maybe anything which you are doing, characterization has to be done in a very detailed way. Then the threat assessment, sources of loss. I mean, the assets of the facility need to be protected from the threat assessment. We have to carry out a thorough threat assessment, which will help us to understand that what kind of threats, what kind of risks are there in that particular uh, project cycle. Then the vulnerability assessment. Once this is done, then we need to understand what are the gaps, what are the weaknesses which somebody can exploit, and somebody can disturb the operation, somebody can disrupt the business continuity. So this step will help us to understand all those vulnerabilities which are there in the system. See, the idea what is the last idea? Last idea is to make it sure that whatever the inherent risks are there in the system, after applying the proper steps, how we can bring it to a part where there are residual risks, because we cannot eliminate it to the 100%, but we can make it sure that it goes to the minimum level wherein the likelihood and the impact will not disturb the business continuity in a great way. Then the evaluation part. And at the last, once you carry out these four steps, the risk treatment, wherever we have identified options, wherever we have identified the risk, we have to reassess those particular risks after after ensuring that all the educate countermeasures are being applied as part of the kappa cycle. Whatever we have identified, if we display it, if we make it a part of the overall plan, then we can we can probably, and we can definitely treat that particular risk. Then, as per the NPSA guideline, the protective security risk assessment, again, it is the same flow. First is the assessment. Then, once the risk assessment is done, then the operational requirements will be. Then the operational requirement will come into play. See, this whatever the site security plan is there for us, it should have a logic, again, the logical sequencing and the idea that how it is being displayed. So first it will start with the security risk assessment, which is the preamble. After risk assessment, we'll come to know that, okay, these are the risks, these are the way we can mitigate the risk, these are the accepted risks, these are the risks where the likelihood and the impact is less. And then once you have proper operational requirements defined, then you can make a better plan. Then you can make a proper site security plan, wherever whatever plan you want to make. If the operational requirements are thoroughly done, if the operational requirements are methodological done, then it will help us to derive a proper site security plan for helping the entities and the organization. One most important thing which comes in our mind when as a security expert, that there is something called risk chain. What makes unsecured secured? I mean, as we discussed in detail as we have discussed in detail in the previous slides, that assets, vulnerability, weakness, these are the keywords. So there is a logical sequencing again, and there is a these all are interlinked. So interlinked means these all are a part of the chain. So if we have to make it sure that if we are securing anything, what does it mean? It means that we have to break the logical link to protect. We protect the process, protect the policy, and protect anything with respect to the organization. Whether it is an asset, when we have to see. So suppose there is a weakness in the system, and there is somebody who is monitoring that, observing that. If we rule out that adversary, then definitely the chain will break. If we understand the modus operandi, if we understand the right tool by which we can prevent any kind of risk, we can play an important role to feel that if we remove the vulnerability from the system, there will not be any weaknesses. If we remove the adversary, definitely motive is something where 100% control is not there, because we cannot read the minds of the people, though it is very important for us as a professional to think that all the possibilities, we have to rule out all the possibilities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But at the same time, the end game is what somebody else is thinking, maybe he's thinking something else. But in order to execute that motive, he needs some kind of vulnerabilities, he needs some kind of adverse situations, he needs some kind of events to, to where they can play an important role to to create danger to the organization. So if we break that logical link, it will help us to protect the entity and protect the organization. What's in security and what is evolving? So these are basically the different layers, and every layer, as we have understood in the first few slides, the stakeholder, every layer is such where a lot of different stakeholders are there. Every slide, every layer will give us an opportunity to interact with many stakeholders. But at the same time, as a professional, as a subject matter expert, we need to understand that on which layer, which kind of solution we want to bring it to the table. For those solutions, which kind of security management plan we are going to implement, and the right identification of the stakeholders. So these are the 5 fundamental layers where we need to apply proper mitigation plan, and we need to understand that if these logic, again, there is a way by which we are doing this. Infrastructure layer, if it is complemented with a proper equipment layer, it will help the process. If the equipments have a proper application layer, equipment, when it get mixed with the application layer, what does it bring? It brings the automation. I mean, all the manual things now, there will be something called automation. So all these processes will be automated. So the word security automation, what does it mean? It means equipment is embedded with the application, then the automation will come. And once you have this thing, then the process layer, what processes we want to follow, what controls we want to bring it to the table, and then the human resource. But generally, in our profession, especially the security people who are there on this call, we all understand if something goes wrong, the first thing that comes in mind is the human. Straight away, people will say that the security professional who was there, deployed there, he has made some mistake, but will not understand that in order to execute the plan, there are 4 different layers. There are administrative control, there are functional control, and then comes the physical control. So as a professional, if we understand this layer, and as a professional, if we understand the stakeholder part of these layers, we'll be able to provide, not only provide the better security solution, but at the same time, the better way to mitigate that particular risk without thinking much only about the person who is standing at the gate, or maybe the person who is responsible for managing that risk. Importance of stakeholder management and risk management, as we have discussed in detail. So it is again, it just the points which are there in the previous slides, but the only way that the only idea of putting it here is, again, we have to understand the sequencing part. I strongly believe, as a security professional, and I can say as a practitioner, that if we understand the logical sequencing of anything, we'll be not only be able to mitigate the risk which is identified, but at the same time, it is not important only to manage the risk. It is important to do your business also. I mean, we cannot say that there is a risk, we should avoid it. No, I mean, we don't have the luxury. At the end of the day, we have to run the business also. So we need to make it sure that we calculate the entire things through a methodology, through a scientific, through a standard process. And then after you follow that process, then only you can enable your management and whosoever you are dealing with to take some kind of informed decisions, to make it sure that, okay, we understand the risk, but yes, we understand the likelihood and the impact also, and we are able to do it. So as a professional, the tricky job is to make it sure that you take that particular risk into account and perform your business. We cannot say that, okay, this cannot be done. I mean, as a security practitioner, we have to be a business manager also. So if you understand the business, then you will be able to provide the better solution. So one case study, I mean, I'll not take much time, but one case study I would like to mention here, especially for the young security professionals who are there in this call or in this presentation. So I mean, as in a country, in a democracy, when election comes, then it comes with everything. I mean, they say that जो इलेक्शन है वो आपके संविधान का सबसे बड़ा त्योहार है, पर्व है. Similarly, when we, as a professional, as a security practitioner, as a professional, when we carry out the public hearing, it is having everything to it, right from conceptualizing the plan, right from dealing with the different stakeholders in different capacities, and then making a proper plan, then having a proper security risk assessment done, and then finally executing it. And after execution, also fulfilling all the promises which you have followed in that logical sequencing. I mean, it teaches you everything. It teaches you everything. It teaches you it teaches you each and every step nuisance of that particular game. So these are the, again, the logical sequence. As I said, conceptualization, notification, preparation, execution, then moderation, then recording the events also, because it should not happen that somebody again, it's not a part of the game, and then again somebody new joins and you don't understand anything. So everything is to be recorded well, everything is to be dealt well, everything is to be understood well. And how everyone can understand it, when you will prepare it right from the beginning. And then the analysis and decision making. So with this logical sequencing, as a security professional, whenever you get an opportunity to be a part of this public hearing, you will come to know that whatever we read in a theory, this is a excellent practical, wherein all the skill set, all the learnings, all the I mean whatever we have discussed so far, you will actually see it happening on ground. You will see that who are these right stakeholders who can influence your business in a positive way, in a negative way, who are the people who influence the decisions also on ground, who are the people who understand the game, and then at the right time they come into play. So this process will give you all the learnings. So public hearing is one that thing. So again, role in a public hearing: ensure that all the security, safety, and every guidelines are there, maintaining proper order and decorum with the venue. Once the venue is identified, then we have to make it sure that it is protected, it is insulated towards any internal, external risk. Then again, whatever you derive, whatever you implement, then we should be ready to follow the next part, which is the response. If anything goes wrong, how the response will happen, from where the response will happen. Then we have to conduct the security checks, monitoring the entrance and other parts also, to make it sure that, as we say in mock drills, we need to make it sure that the event is actually happening. Because you can, I mean, it's like a movie. It's like a movie. When you are doing a mock drill, you can make n number of changes, but when it will actually happen, it is not like a movie. Then there is something which will permanently be disabled. So we need to understand that part also, that when you are conducting any mock drill for this particular aspect, we need to understand, make it sure that it is on the real time basis, it is happening as it is happening real, so that you will have less margin of errors. You will see that whatever actionable items are there, we are following it in a proper way. In an enterprise security, when we are dealing with different kind of processes, the first important part is to standardize it, to make it sure that everybody speaks the same language. I mean, in a good team, we have diverse thought, we have everything, which is everybody has a opinion, different opinion and everything. But before executing the plan, once you discuss, once you brainstorm, once you discuss, deliberate, then you come to a part where you see that, okay, now this is our final goal, we have to achieve this goal. So to achieve this goal, once we have discussed everything, let's speak the same language, let's speak the same way, to make it sure that there is a full control on the process. And I think okay, so I have taken 2-3 minutes extra, so I'll end this conversation with a thought. The greatest sin is to think that yourself weak. I mean, of course we need to be ready for everything, but at the same time, as a practitioner, when we are doing something, we have to do it in a way that we are fully committed towards it, and we are making it sure. First of all, you have to understand in your mind that yes, I will do it. I am able to do it. I am able to understand it in a complete way, and I will be able to contribute in a magnificent way. So first is your understanding, your acceptance, and then if you follow the right logical sequence, if you follow the right laid down procedures, if you follow the right stakeholder management, result will automatically come. So that should not be any fear if you know the process and if you have the intent of following that process. So I'll end this with this quote of Swami Vivekananda ji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nand. There were at one time 90 plus viewers and a similar number of comments. But these comments were in the form of salutation, Jai Hind, and I must reciprocate by returning Jai Hind to all the participants. The point which I would like to once again emphasize is that stakeholder engagement is the most challenging task, because you know that this is the change which is good for people, but they also must appreciate the proposed change are for their good. So here comes the importance of communication, that what you perceive is good for them must also be shared by them to be good. Then only they will accept the change. So change management is a big challenge. How you see the role of effective communication, and which may be the suggested forms of communication with your stakeholders?
Yes, sir. Definitely, the change management, as you mentioned, it's a crucial part of the game. So, in order to understand the crucial part of the game, we need to first understand the overall game. I mean, this is a small part. So, when we are dealing with the different stakeholder, and if we have to ensure that whatever we have discussed, deliberated, it is implemented well, then we need to understand again, as I mentioned in this slide also, sir. In order to understand the change management, we should make it a part of their muscle memory that whatever is going to change after implementing this process, it is not only going to help the organization, help the entity, but the stakeholder also. So we have to develop that mutual interest. We have to take it in a way which we call that symbiotic way. I mean, it should not be parasitic, that okay, I'll do this, तुम्हारा इससे ये चेंज हो जाएगा, इससे तुम्हारे ये बदलाव आ जाएंगे. नो, we have to make it sure that these are the symbiotic chain. The person who is a part of the stakeholder, they need to understand that this process brings a mutual interest kind of thing. So we have to bring that trust in their mind that whatever is going to change, it is for the good of the people. So that understanding needs to be very clear, sir.
It may happen sometimes that you realize that through all the processes, very diligently, you took a decision, and because it is wholeheartedly rejected by the stakeholders, you roll back. Would there be strategy also attached to it, so that not only you are looking winner, other stakeholders who were rejecting the proposed changes are also feeling that their position is redeemed, their approach is recognized, but it is no loss to both the parties?
Yes, sir. This is very interesting. I mean, first of all, we have to honor that also. We have to honor that every stakeholder is having their concern, every stakeholder is having their opinion. But as part of the bigger game, rejection only enables you to come well prepared again, to come with a better plan. So, whatever the points they rejected in that particular plan, so we need to understand that what are the, I mean, why is it happening? So as part of the strategy also, it will be very clear, because अगर कुछ नया कर रहे हैं, definitely we'll think that these things might come as part of the outcome. Outcome can be rejection and acceptance both. So as we have a good plan for acceptance, that we will implement it. Similar way, we have to have a plan for the rejection part also. If it is rejected in such a way, we'll present in a different way. I mean, it is, again, it enables you, sir. It not disables you. It enables you to bring it to the right perspective. Yeah.
Thank you
Better
very
planning
much.
is the.
Thank you very much, Nand. You have been very thorough, and command over subject is commendable. And you explained. Our tagline is complex matter simply explained. So you
Correct.
have very simply explained the complex matter. It is not as easy as it sounds when it is sounded by you. So recognizing and appreciating your command over the subject, I am sure our viewers are benefited, and they will remain benefited if they subscribe to our channel. All security and safety professionals, I once again request, good number of viewers, they must have noticed that our all the discussions in the past and forthcoming will also be on similar very important subject. So my request is to subscribe to the channel, join the live discussions, raise questions. If not this time, next time, raise your questions, be heard, be seen, and make your presence felt. Thanks for submitting your contact information, because majority of viewers this time first submitted their contact information and then joined the discussion. We do not charge anything uh, for membership. We do not charge anything for our security leadership discussion. It is our payback time. And for that reason, we always try to bring domain expert, those who are world class, well recognized, and well respected, and well awarded and rewarded also. So, Nand, thank you very much for joining our discussion, and I'm sure that as ICISS Councilor representing Great State Goa, and today I am in that Goan mood, that shirt which I bought from there. So, remain useful, remain visible, and be as good as you are always to the fraternity. Try to help out youngsters, mentor them, and make council's name also known. Thank you for being part of us. And our viewers, you are once again requested to subscribe so that you get notification for our next discussion. Till then, remain happy, secure, and safe. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Jai Hind to everyone.